Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Last time I showed you this. As you see, it's a crossbow that uses two crossbow limbs, like prods, and the projectile, in this case a toothpick, shoots out from in between those two. And I had the idea to make it bigger, make it full size, use two normal recurve prods from a normal 150-pound crossbow and use it to fire my triple-edge scraper tools. I've been busy. Let me show you what I came up with. Meet the double crossbow for the triple-edge bolts. Let me show you its features. It actually uses 150-pound crossbow limbs that are used from the Python or Eagle 3 crossbow. It's an inexpensive crossbow, and this is, I think, fiberglass. But it's a good crossbow. I actually modded it a while ago so it has a magazine. This is actually the modified crossbow. As you see, it has a red dot sight. Yeah. And it's 150 pounds, so it is possible to cock it against your chest like this. Alright. And now it's a pretty good shooter. Not bad. Now, of course, since this has 300 pounds of draw weight now, it is not possible to cock this thing with your arms. You need a cocking aid device, and I built one in. See this winch that helps you doing it. And actually the winch is pulling on a string here, and the string is attached to this sled. And the sled actually pushes back the string of the bow. And there is an integrated blocking device. It's in here. So you can see when you turn it, it automatically engages and prevents that this thing can be pulled back from its own. So you can cock it like this. Then you see the sled is starting to pull back the string. And once you release it like this, it actually goes right back into the front. The sled is actually pulled to the front with rubber bands. What else? And these rubber bands make sure that you can get the sled out of the way before you shoot, because the heavy sled would otherwise be accelerated, and that would cause a lot of energy loss. Okay, let me show you the safety of the gun, which doesn't exist. This is the Slingshot channel, come on. Here at the Slingshot channel, we think that safety is boring. The thing is a beast to be cocked anyway, just because 300 pounds is no joke and it's made from wood. But it works. You put it down on the ground, stomp on it, you start winding. Now it gets interesting. And now the trigger has engaged. And now what you can do is, you lift the front and you see the sled automatically resets itself. This is very important because it means that you don't have to fumble with any hooks and so on whilst the crossbow is in cocked condition, because that is very dangerous for your fingers. Anyway, this is the shooting position and it's now fully cocked. 300 pounds of draw force on it. So again, now in cocked condition, I can show this to you some better. This actually puts the sled up to the front, like this. And before you shoot, you get it out of the way simply like that. And then the weapon is ready to be fired. And this is the triple-edge spear-like bolt. As you see, it has a very mean tip. These are actually outlawed for use in warfare. So this means soldiers are not supposed to have one of these. Because they can cause unnecessary suffering. This is what the Hague Conventions in 1899 declared and made them illegal. You simply muzzle load those spears so they sit in all the way. Looking quite dangerous, don't you think? Okay, and then you're basically ready to fire. Wow, some kind of power. Because of its heavy weight and slow speed, this is a short distance devastator. This isn't really a distance arrow, but I made some of those too. I'll show them to you later. Anyway, let's do some destruction. Okay, our first test is this car door. Let's see if it can punch a hole through the thick metal. Wow, it can. Really sticks in solid. Wow. Yeah, and it has the clear sign of a triple edge penetration. Now, of course, this is hardened steel, a quality Gedor German tool. Okay, next, our trusted Riot Shield. As you see, I turned it around so that we have some intact material left. It was very, very hard to retrieve the 1000 joule airgun arrow out of it, if you remember that video. Okay, let's go for it. And it went through. Clearly, it penetrated the shield, although it wouldn't have been dangerous for the police officer because it didn't, really go through far enough. But that's an impressive achievement for a muscle-operated recurve crossbow. And you can also see that the shield is under a lot of tension. This means that this sticks in very, very hard, and it will be very hard to get this out again. Just because the plastic material wants to close around the object, making it very hard to retrieve it, which is also the reason why it's so hard to penetrate it in the first place. Well, I finally got it out, but look at that. Not bad. Of course, you want the ballistic gelatin test. And I actually made a very, very strong concoction. This is like a 30% mixture, so it's even stronger than the German mixture, which is 20%, and the FBI mixture, which is only 10%. So this is really, really, really dense. For calibration purposes, we're gonna fire a normal arrow from the repeating crossbow into it first. Okay, and fire. All right, that wasn't bad. It went all the way through. Okay, now we're getting ready for the money shot. Okay. And fire! See the difference? That is inertia, momentum. Now look into that wound canal. Actually, the wooden shaft followed on its way. Brutal. Imagine you are a doctor in a battle and your job is to repair that wound. Good luck. So, that is a terrible bolt for sure. But as I said, it's short distance and high devastation. But what if you need a little more distance, and what if you need a faster projectile speed? Well, I made some alternatives, and I think specifically one of them is even more mean than this one, if that's even possible. We're starting with this one, which is just a normal crossbow bolt that I weighted with additional wood, and also I put on a broadhead. And now the idea is that the broadhead cuts through the tissue, making way for the wooden part here. And ideally, the wooden part will then plug the wound so that there is a high amount of internal bleeding, killing the opponent quickly. But I'm not sure if that works. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. This one is also a lot lighter. It only weighs about 43 grams in total, which is heavy for a bolt, but not nearly as heavy as the 220 gram triple edge bolt. And at that speed, it actually maxes out the performance of the bow, because it's now doing around 110 joule of energy. So this actually is very efficient for it. But this is probably the meanest arrow that's ever been made. I call it the flesh sampler. Let me show you its features. It has an aluminum shaft, fitting for the caliber of the crossbow, of course, but it also has a really, really interesting tip. I turned this from an old shotgun barrel, like a muzzle-loading shotgun barrel that I had lying around. And of course it is sharpened here, and it's heat shrunk in here. And it is hollow, of course, so that air can stream through. But I also sharpened it to, like a crown shape with sharp edges. And in the end, I inserted, I'm not sure if you can see this well here, I inserted a little kind of internal vein system that hopefully allows the air to stream through the muzzle, stabilizing the arrow in flight. But this is actually very scary because it will punch out a part of everything that it will hit. Let's see how that works in Ballistic Gelatin. It almost went all the way through, and it doesn't have as much momentum as the heavy triple edge blade, so it didn't shift the block entirely off its socket. But let's see if it sampled some of the gelatin. Let's have a look. It did. Look at that. Wow. Okay, now we're trying out the modified crossbow bolt. Okay. Wow. This penetrated almost as good as the triple edge one, but look at the wound that it created. It's just massive destruction. You can still see the cuts from the blade, but then the wooden dowel kind of propelled it apart. Wow, what a devastator. So this block of super ballistic gelatin is now completely wrecked with just those few, like 3 or 4 hits. I've never seen that happening with a handheld weapon. Wow. As I said, this is an arrow for longer distances. So we're shooting 12 meters. I'm not really going to shoot from any more distance because there is no sighting system on the gun and I don't want to lose too many arrows. But anyway, if it flies straight for that distance, it will fly straight forever. Wow! Sticks right in as always. But interesting, here I want to show you something. See here. These are hits from the hollow flesh-eating bolt, and you can see it really took out chunks of the mattress. And this is a hit from the triple edge one. As you see, it has the 3 cuts, but these wounds are certainly a lot more severe. I think they're more like blood faucets. Let's summarize this up. What do I think of it? Well, first of all, I love it because, hey, it's made from wood and still it can hold 300 pounds of energy. I'm always amazed by the strength of the simple plywood trigger here that can hold that much force. Everything is just made from wood. Nothing is reinforced with metal, really. So, and of course, I originally wanted to add a magazine, but that wasn't really possible using 2 bows, one from above and one from below, because the arrows are a lot longer and they wouldn't stack up, of course. But, of course, if you only use one limb, and that may be not 150 but a 200-pound one from a normal, maybe even a compound crossbow, I love the built-in winch feature, and at 150 or 200 pounds it would be very easy to turn also. But I believe that this cocking aid makes it so much more manageable to handle draw weights like this. Now the effect of this is absolutely devastating. These are very, very dangerous projectiles. I'm not really sure what they're good for, except fun, which I am having a ton of that. I also love that sled system. It's a bit bulky and I think you can trim it down in size much. But maybe I'm going to make a new crossbow with just only one of these limbs, so it shoots regular bolts. And just with a magazine and a built-in winch system. Since this then would be the single-shot Magnum version of it. As for the projectile, well, this was of course the challenge and I think I mastered it. Even though it's not a very good projectile. It's really a stabbing thing. And so it's forget to shoot it from a distance longer than 5 meters. It will not stay true. This one actually is just like a bastard between old and new world. But it's still kind of cool. But this one here really has potential. Because it's stable on longer distances. It's kind of in between these two in weight. It weighs about 90 grams. And I think that concept of punching a huge hole into the body of your opponent is actually very cool. And I also like the integrated veins here. Makes it so much easier to build a magazine for a device like this. So, the double bow 300-pound homemade crossbow. I hope you liked it because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. Time to say goodbye. It was really time. I'm having too much of that stuff, so I'm only keeping the best.